All right, so continuing on the next day here, getting my ferrules attached to my positive, my negative, and my ground. And when you do ferrules, sorry, I got a squeaky chair here. I bought a nice crimping tool. This runs a 23 through 7 gauge, which is just working wonderfully. So definitely worth the. It's not very expensive. I think it was like the kit was like 30 bucks or something. Works great. Maybe it's not good for long-term use, but this is the only solar I'm building, so I don't need long-term use industrial equipment. I bought a basic kit off Amazon for ferrules. I'm going to have 27 of the yellows used. That fits 10 gauge. And then I bought the IWISS crimper for the MC4 connectors to make your own tips. Worked absolutely wonderful. They crimp in that fashion. I think that's called the W crimp. And then with that kit came really good cutters instead of using side cutters, because you always get a goofy angle with side cutters. It's not the best for this. These ones here, crimp cable cutter, just a really smooth, clean cut. Yeah, so those came in that kit as well. And then the wire strippers. Now I was wire strippers up to 6 mil, which is 10 gauge. Yeah, super clean, does not nick the wires at all, and really easy to use. Nice spring rebound on them, so that works wonderful. And you want to strip a fair amount back. I should have taken a video before for the amount, but you want, when you do crimping, you always want the tip of your wires sticking out a little bit there, just a hair. You don't want a lot of tail. And then before I started my crimping, I just looked at Schneider's job, because they have, very detailed TE connectivity. They have stuff on connections. Hey, look, no ring, took the ring off. Trying to get in the habit, taking all the metals off. So yeah, we got extra wires sticking out on all of their things. So it's like a mil. It's half a mil to a millimeter sticking past. Inside these big crimps, depending if these are AMDs, they may have a viewport in there. These were built. I'm not touching those. Yeah, so just a couple ideas on how to build. All of these ones are all the same. And these are my AC, my on-grid ones that I would use. Come on, focus. There you go. So the wire's right flush with the tip on that one. And flush with the tip on that one, right, just a hair past on that one. So yeah, I'm just replicating what the pros do, and yeah, it's good. And then there's the ferrite bead for the high frequency interference, because we're running, these are going to run 410 nominal, 490 open circuit. So they go on the positive and negative only. The ground just goes ground. And yeah, get enough tape on your things. I'm going to be taping this one up all the way. I'm going to pull that puppy back out to get tape on this black section, just because you don't want, to make a mistake. And you missed the green for whatever. You saw black here, but it was green here. Very unlikely. So I'm going to be taping a lot to know where my green is, which is my ground. Those are my thoughts for today. And yeah, one more thing on the stickers. These guys, the charge controllers from Schneider come in an ungrounded PV connection system. So if you run a negative ground system, you have to put a fuse in, meaning your negative line is going through and getting the disconnect. Then you would put your negative on here. If your positive is the disconnect and it's going through the fuse switch, then you put your fuse on this side. I'm not running either. I'm running an ungrounded array. I have ground rods at the arrays, but I do have to run a reference ground from there back to here, and then I'm going to be running a ground out of here over to the grounds on the mains, and then of course all of that gets connected up and sends ground back on these puppies here. So, which takes it back to the main panel. Yeah, so there you go. Just a big old warning system. That's how that's designed and built. I'm leaving these actually here so the inspectors can realize what the system is built as, because they don't really know equipment individually, like if it's Grow Watt or if it's EG4, well, that's American. If it's SMA, Victron or Schneider, they don't know. They're looking for the electrical aspects of it, right? So, oh, this chair's squeaky. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Just working through. It takes a bit of time, so you gotta dedicate hours to get this stuff all developed. As I get better and better, I stripped them all to the right lengths and just did all 6, and then I just did all the ferrules. So this first set I was learning on just to make sure I did it right, and worked out beautifully. So yeah, and then these guys here are going to be my batteries. The super stiff stuff are going to be my battery connection from the positive negative here, coming over into the negative and the positive there. So I'll be ferruling them. Maybe not. Those are 6 gauge. I may not be putting ferrules on those. Or I'm putting ring clamps on, to clamp on, because I couldn't find big 6 gauge ferrules for that size. I can go up to 7 gauge with my kit. So if I put ring clamps on, then I can just clamp onto the rings, but my batteries are going there, so it's kind of a goof. I'm probably just gonna zip them down. Obviously, if they're meant to be clamped down, you don't have to run ferrules. It's just recommended because they say you get a better connection. But this wire, see, I did have this guy on here, and I believe she was sitting up here like this before. Granted, this is a 1/2 inch ID, internal diameter, on this guy, and these are actually 3/8 bolts. So this is too big. I'll be cutting that off. So this was my crimp job with the hammer tool. I'll show you that. McMaster car out of the States sell these for $63. I think I got mine for $29. Amazon. Again, I don't need, and it'll go up to 4 double, which is awesome because I wanted it for my 3 double. Had to make sure I had it for that to put my clamps on. And yeah, this is a qualifies as a professional install when you pound down on the crimp. So that's what I used. It's a little bit tippy. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But yeah, maybe I'll cut the insulation back and show you guys how the crimp looked. Ended up just being smooth and clean. And yeah, so I'm going to take that off because I am going to just go directly into these guys here. Maybe I'll double up. I don't know. I will let you guys know what I'm going to do there. Maybe a touch of research. What's better? What's the best connectivity? Again, I'm kind of a geek for that stuff, making sure everything's as maxed out as possible. Oh, the wire size. So because it's not fine stranded wire, it's fairly heavy duty strand. Like this is only 7 strands, sorry. 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, this stuff just compresses. It doesn't split out and separate like fine strand. Like all of these are very fine strand. These guys, polar wire, they make a fine strand. I think there's like a 1,500 or 1,700 strands or something crazy inside this. It's awesome. These have like 700 strands. So the strands are really, really small. Thus, they go to ferrules because you're just going to break the little wires when you start to compress down on them. When you run something big like this, it just compresses. So this is a 6 gauge. So I'm going to fall into, where's my sizing? Yeah, what the hell. All right, and this one section of wire has no gauge of wire size. It's on here. I think I did this yesterday. Oh, this is 2 gauge. There we go. It's way bigger. I definitely don't have ferrules for that. 6 gauge is tiny. This is 6 gauge. Get confused, so read your stuff. 2 gauge is, these guys can hold up to 2 watt. So I'm 3 sizes ahead. So I'm just gonna crimp down on those. And something else I was looking at in the wiring diagram is the positive terminals. They actually have them coming up at an angle like this and then looping down. Again, it's all typically inverters are on the left side of the PDP. So they would, of course, angle these positives up like this, coming off this way. Instead of going in behind, see if I can show you what's going on. Yeah, I can. Good. So if ever you need to see a really tight spot use your camera. Turn the fan on and video light on video mode, and it really shows up automotive stuff. So I've got this cable sitting in here. It's guiding through between these bolts, the studs for the bus bar, quite nicely. You know, here's the number 2 bolt, here's the number 1 bolt for the breaker. This falls right in here. It's really not a big deal. This one's coming down between here, and then this guy's coming off to the right. So they're not touching those bolts, rubbing on the bolts, but again, there's vibration from these. So my thoughts are, and then the back behind this wire right now is touching behind this bolt. It's right on the edge. It's not sharp, but you know, just minor vibration of these things running, whatever that, how much vibration is. I've got lots of extra cable from the middle inverter and lots of extra cable on the third inverter. I can turn my positive to face that way to get more length. This one, you know, there's so much length that I have to turn them away. So they may have designed that. Yesterday I was saying, they got too much cable, shorten the cables. If I turn these guys back, aim them to where I want them to go, normally they're aimed that way because these are on the other side. But if I turn this one back, I'll get extra cable length. I may be able to come up and loop it in a vertical. So then this one will come up here, and then number 2, number 3 would come off at the angle or whatever. So I'm gonna play with it. We'll see. It's a lot of work to readjust all that, but it's totally worth it, so I don't have a future rub out on these cables rubbing on the back edge back here. So I'm pretty sure that's not a preferred method. It's all, yeah. All right, another long video for you guys. Yesterday was a 37-minute. I was just going to talk about ferrules, but of course you always see new things, a little more research, new ideas, and I still got to zip tie all that stuff up, cable tie those up, cable tie that up. So any comments on that? I know I'm going to be doing it. And that's it for now. Enjoy.